Let's talk about the Sacral Sessions and what that's all about. Let's see here. So a Sacral Session is a session where you get clarity for, you engage your sacral to get clarity for around answers that you need in order to make a decision. And that clarity is based on your sacral sounds. So it involves a series of yes and no questions that are asked in a way that they cut through your mind chatter, and you can get at your personal truth. Your sacral response never lies. It always points your awareness toward your truth. Not what somebody else said, not, the conditioning that you've experienced over time and your openness, none of that, what you think you should do. It's always your truth. And sometimes your truth can surprise you. It can just pop out of your mouth as an and that's not what you thought it was going to be. So it's important when you're doing sacral sessions to really stay open, to really kind of be relaxed and not attached to the outcome or not expecting a certain kind of an outcome when you're the one who's getting that clarity through the sacral session. And as a review, the sacral speaks in guttural sounds, and for generators it's for yes and for no, and for manifesting generators it can be something totally different. And I think one of my teacher, Karen Curry Parker, I remember her telling a story about how she was doing a reading for a manifesting generator, and the woman kept saying, yep, 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 and it was driving her crazy until she realized it was her sacral response. So it can be something like yep, 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 or it could be but that's usually a little slow. It could just be or So the manifesting generators who are watching this, you really need to spend some time paying attention to what's coming out of your mouth and connecting that to whether or not that's your sacral speaking. If you're not having a sacral response, it either means that you bypassed your sacral response with your thought process, with the monkey mind, or what you think you should respond, how you think you should respond, what other people think. Maybe you're censoring yourself because you're afraid of what the other person will think of you. It could mean that you don't have anything to respond to. Like, you're not really, maybe it's not the right thing, or it's not, the thing that brings up the right question for you to respond to. It could be that it's just an idea in your head, and you won't feel that or hear that guttural response, or you won't feel your sacral center engaged. This is the distinction I wanted to make: the sacral response versus making decisions with your sacral. And it's not really a versus, they kind of work together. So we talked about how the sacral's always responding to things as you go through your daily life. And most responses don't actually require an action or a decision. Your sacral's just seeing things and seeing other people, or seeing something, reading something, or whatever, and there's no action to take, really. But it's your sacral just telling you, hey, I like this, or I don't like that, or whatever it is. The decisions come into play when there's something in real life that you do need to act upon. Like, Karen, what do you do for your business? Those kinds of things. And that's when, if you've really paid attention to your sacral response on all of these things that don't really require action, you'll be really intimately connected with your sacral response so that you can make those decisions that you need to make with your sacral. Just want to check here. I'll go back to that. So we talked, Karen, about your emotional authority, and those of you who are watching this, please go back and review when you need to make a decision. Make sure you're clear about what your decision-making authority is. So if you have an emotional authority, You engage your sacral, you do your sacral sessions more than once because you need to have a, a consistent response over time, because you're riding those ups and downs of your emotional waves. And when you get a clear over time, you do a sacral session today and maybe one tomorrow and one next week, and it's still then you know that that's the correct action for you to take. If it's today and it's tomorrow, and 3 days from now it's again, and maybe it's the next day, then you don't have that consistent, you don't have the consistency of the authority to go ahead. And that doesn't mean that later on down the line you might not have that, but for that period of time you're not clear yet as to whether or not you need to take that action, or you're not clear about taking that action at that time. If you have a sacral authority, or the sacral and the spleen defined in that authority, your truth is in the moment. With the sacral speaks in the moment, it knows in the moment, and then if you also have the spleen defined, you have your sacral truth in the moment, and you also can have this full body resonance, or this backup response that can feel like a full body response, especially when you're entertaining issues around safety, health, or intuition. So everybody but the people with emotional authority can know in the moment and can pretty much act in the moment. Unless if you have the splenic response, you get that positive, let's go for it, and your sacral's going, then you know you kind of need to wait until they line up. So how to do a sacral session, we talked about this in the last recording. You're going to sit with someone who's willing to ask you yes and no questions. You're going to have them start with questions that aren't particularly charged, especially if this is your first time. Like if you're used to doing this and you want to dive right in, and you're really connected with your sacral center, you don't have to start with those warm-up questions like, are your eyes blue, and do you like chocolate cake, and things that don't really quite matter to your question. But if you're very new to it, this will start to forge that connection between your awareness and your sacral response. Now, those questions need to be asked at a fairly rapid pace so that your mind doesn't have a chance to engage. So Karen, when we get into your sacral session, I'm probably going to speed you along, or I'm going to point out, you notice how you pause there. Okay. Because you might be censoring something, yeah. Or, or just holding yourself back in one way or another. And if you need clarity on something important, as if you're doing the warm-up questions, just have your partner slip in one of those really important questions. Once you're on that roll of, really those questions that don't matter, aren't charged, once you're on that roll, they can slip in a really important question for you. and your sacral will be warmed up and you'll be ready to go. Now, everything else is, all of these are questions that you can begin with. So, here are some examples of warm-up questions. Do you like blueberry muffins? All those things. I'm not going to go through all of them. And then you notice if you get, as we move down after are your eyes blue, it starts to get a little bit more specific, a little bit more, it could be a little bit more charged, but you're easing into those questions that have more charge. Now, this part can help you, the clarifying questions can just help you to determine if you don't know, if you're just practicing your sacral sessions, if you don't know what area you really want to focus on with the questions, these questions will help you with that. And then if you're hitting a dead end, like, if you're not feeling your sacral, and or you're pausing, or something's not connecting for you, then these are kind of the default questions to really find out what's going on. Or if you need to drill deeper into something, or if you need to word the question in a different way. So, you know, obviously, is this the right question? Do you need a different question? Do you want to continue to explore this? And then, you know, you kind of have to make it up after a certain point, because when you're in the session, all kinds of things can come up. The person who's responding can take you in all kinds of different directions. So I started with questions about health, general questions to narrow down what it is that you need clarity on: weight, eating habits, exercise habits, the way you manage stress. Do you want to explore whichever one, your weight, eating habits, whatever your sacral identifies, you want to explore that more deeply. And then there are questions for weight. There are questions for diet. And this is not an exhaustive list. You know, you may ask one question and you'll have the inspiration to ask something that's totally not on this list. So these are just to get you going. Exercise, stress management. Questions about work are very, very important, because you are generators, manifesting generators. So these are questions to help you clarify work. These are actually geared more toward people who have a job with someone else. And then I have questions about business, like general questions to help us hone into what it is that you need clarity about. Getting started in your business, if that's what you need, or growing your current business, attracting more clients, marketing your business. Then there are questions about money, your financial life. Then there are relationship questions, social relationship questions, questions about your romantic relationships, 2 pages of those. Questions about your family relationships, and then questions about your living conditions. I think that's it. Yeah. So I want you to just do your best to respond with uh-huh and uh-uh.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I want you to do your best to respond with uh-huh or uh-uh.
I will do my best, I promise.
Okay, I'm actually asking you to engage your uh-huh, uh-uh, right?
Uh-oh. Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay. We're going to start with warm-up questions. Do you like blueberry muffins?
Uh-huh.
Do you like coffee?
Uh-uh.
Do you like tea?
Uh-huh.
Are you feeling your sacral response in your body?
I wasn't paying attention to it, but
okay. Okay. I'm going to continue, and I might throw that in again a couple times just to see where you are.
Okay.
Do you like spinach?
Uh-huh.
Do you like red cars?
Uh-uh.
Is your favorite color blue?
Uh-huh.
Are your eyes brown?
Uh-uh.
Do you sleep well at night?
That's a uh-huh and uh-uh.
Do you sleep well under certain conditions at night?
Uh-huh.